Here's a great way to tell a story with audience participation, which we simply call gesture stories. It works well for Christian education classes, family programs, and even as a children's moment in a worship service.
How many of you know the story of Daniel and the lion's den? Oh, great. Okay. Well, I'm going to need your help to tell the story because it has some motions that go with it. In the story, whenever I say the name Daniel, I'd like you to take your hands, put them over your heart and go, ah. Oh. Daniel. Ah. Oh. Very good. In the story, whenever I say the name King Darius, put your hands on your hips and go, wow. King Darius. Daniel. Oh. In the story, whenever I say the words nasty, dastardly advisors, and I have to use all of the words, please go, boo. Nasty, dastardly advisors. Boo. King Darius. Great. In the story, whenever I say the great and living God, and again, I have to use all the words, the great and living God, please go, yay! The great and living God, yay! Nasty, dastardly advisors. Last of all, whenever I say lions or lion's den, please go, arr! Lion's den. Arr! The great and living God. Yay! That feels like a good place to start. A long, long time ago, there was a great and mighty kingdom by the name of Persia. And the king of that great and mighty kingdom was a great and mighty king by the name of King Darius. Now, King Darius had many people who gave him advice. They were known as advisors. They told the king the right place to put roads, the right way to build schools, the right time to raise taxes, the right kind of mayonnaise to use on his chicken salad sandwiches. And the king's very favorite advisor was a young man by the name of Daniel. Oh. And Daniel is the hero of our story. He gave the king good advice. He told him the right place to put roads, the right way to build schools, the right time to raise taxes, and the right kind of mayonnaise to use on his chicken salad sandwiches. And also, our hero worshipped the great and living God. Yay! But not all of the king's advisors were good advisors. Some were nasty, dastardly advisors. They gave the king bad advice. They told him the wrong place to put roads, the wrong way to build schools, the wrong time to raise taxes. They told him to use ketchup instead of mayonnaise on his chicken salad sandwiches. Yeah, these advisors were very jealous of our hero because, you see, the king loved our hero just as though he were his own son. When the other advisors saw that, they were so jealous they all went down to the local bar and grill and they tried to think of some way to get rid of our hero. Oh, they plotted and they thought and they thought and they plotted. And finally one of them said, "Oh, I know what we can do. Why don't we put flies in his oatmeal?" Somehow that just didn't sound right. So a second one said, "Oh, I know what we can do. Why don't we put a toad in his trick-or-treat bag?" That wasn't it either. Finally, one of them said, "I know what we can do. Why don't we go to the king and say to him, 'Oh, great and mighty king, we think that you are so wonderful that you should pass a law, that everyone in your kingdom must bow down and worship you just as though you were God himself. And if anyone is caught worshipping someone other than you, O great and mighty king, that person should be thrown to the lions.'" Yeah, they liked that idea. So they went straight to the king and they told him. Well, I'm afraid that King Darius was a little bit conceited, because when he heard the idea, he said, "Oh, I like it. Everyone worship me, gives me chills. Where do I sign?" And with that, he signed his name, and that idea became a law. Well, you know what happened next. Our hero could not worship the king because he worshipped the great and living God. And he went right on worshiping. And when the other advisors saw that, they went straight unto the king. And they spake out unto the king in a loud and clear voice, saying unto him, the king was heartbroken, for you see, even a king must obey his own laws. He knew he would have to have our hero thrown into the lion's den. So he sent soldiers to take our hero down to the lion's den. They dragged our hero down to the lion's den. They rolled the stone away from the mouth of the lion's den. They threw our hero into the place where all those wild animals were. And then they rolled the stone back over the mouth of that place. And all night long the king worried and pondered and pondered and worried and wandered back and forth in his chamber, wondering what was happening to our hero. When the morning came, he went down, he had the stone rolled aside, and do you know what he saw? He saw our hero safe and sound in the middle of all those animals. He said, my son, how is it you're still alive? And our hero said, O king, last night I prayed to my God. He sent an angel to close the mouths of these animals so that not one could harm me. I am alive because I worship the Lord. And when King Darius saw that Daniel was alive in the lion's den, King Darius took Daniel out of the lion's den, and in the place of Daniel, King Darius filed through the nasty, dastardly advisors. And from then on, King Darius said that everyone in his kingdom must worship the great and living God. Yay! And that is the end of our story. Thank you. Psychologists tell us sensory motor skills have the longest extinction curve, which is just a fancy way of saying when you learn something with your whole body, it takes a lot longer to forget it. So one of the values of telling a story like this is your audience, children and adults alike, will remember it much longer because of the physical participation.
To create a gesture story, just select 5 or 6 key words from your story and tie a gesture and a vocal response to each word. More than 6 words starts to get confusing and too hard for your audience to remember.
Also, you want to be careful not to overuse the words you've chosen. You'll notice in the story you just saw, I didn't keep saying Daniel, Daniel, Daniel over and over again and wear it out. Instead, I had to make sure to use some other phrase like our hero. Also, you want to structure your story so the key words fall at the end of a phrase or a sentence, giving a space for the audience to respond. And then, a fun way to end the story, just repeat all the key words several times very quickly in the last sentence.
Now, it can take a lot of work to memorize one of these stories, especially if you're only telling it once. But the stories can also be done with a partner, where one person reads the story and the other leads the gestures.